discussion could be something that could potentially involve a number of you out here. It's minor hockey related. It's been in the papers in the last little while. I'll say, introduce the topic, pass it over to my two cohorts here to throw their 2 cents worth in, but about the abuse of officials in minor league hockey right now. Let's get some thoughts from our panel, and we certainly would welcome yours. Rolly?
Well, first of all, we got to look at the fact that everything in minor hockey right now is all volunteer work. When you've got teenagers putting in some time trying to rep the game, you got players, parents, coaches verbally abusing and now physically abusing the refs. It's just wrong, and it's got to stop somewhere. There's ideas on where to make it stop, and I think it's got to stop with the parents.
What? You're good.
So, any other opinions on that? We got Angela over here as well. What do you think on that?
Totally with you, Rolly. Who knew that we would agree so soon on something?
That's rare.
Yeah, no, it is. As a mom of a minor league hockey player, and also as a woman fan who loves the game for the game's sake, it is absolutely horrible what's happening in minor hockey with lack of respect. And the lack of respect isn't happening only for the refs, but it's also with other players and so on. There's got to be a level of respect for the game to shine. So I agree with you that it has to stop from, it has to, be a point with the parents and with the fans that there's got to be a basic level of respect there.
My view on it is the problem with officiating and what's happening right now is I put more of the blame on the coaches than the parents. I've been coaching for 7 years. I was an official for 3 years in the 1970s, and I quit when I got grabbed from behind over the boards, and a guy put me in a chokehold, not quite like what we saw earlier, but I got put in a chokehold, and I turned around and popped the guy, and that was the last game I officiated. That was a long time ago, and it still continues. They'll never clean it up totally, but there's 2 things happening. Number one, the coaches are ultimately always in charge. When you are coaching in minor hockey, for 50 minutes or 80 minutes or whatever, you are the parent of all those children.
Right.
No matter what the parents are saying or feeling at that time, you are, by default, you are the parent at that time. As I said, I'm in my 7th year as a head coach in minor hockey. And I'm coaching minor Pee-wee 11-year-olds. We're already starting to see some incidents. And it's the coach's responsibility. So when an incident happens, not only should the child, the player, be immediately chastised and severely reprimanded, suspensions or otherwise, but the coach has to bear responsibility too. And then the coach or the association can take it to the parents, I think, at that point. Charged criminally with whatever type of assault they want to grade it, and then you go after the coaches, and then subsequently you suspend them, and you make sure that carries over into wherever he next puts on a pair of skates. Yeah. Or his gear. That's what I think.
Well, moving along then. So the next topic up for discussion is a gentleman that's going to be in town tomorrow night, is it? Steve Downey. Might be a little bit of retribution coming down the pipe from the nice little airborne hit he applied on Dean McCammon. Got a 20-game suspension, which at the time was one of the largest in NHL history. And he's back in town. Dean McCammon sent out a little note, or McGrattan sent out a little note to him the last game that when that all happened. He said he'll get his and he'll make sure that he gets it when he's coming back. Now he's coming back, and apparently McGrattan has pulled it back. So I guess with Steve Downey, and apparently this isn't the only time either, he's had a couple of instances since, and the Philadelphia Flyers is rampant. I think they've got more suspensions on their team than most of the NHL has combined.
So far, yeah.
So far, yeah. So what do we do with a guy like Steve Downey in the NHL? Bobby Clark says he should be applauded. Bobby Clark says he'd like to have a team full of these guys. We all know what we think about Bobby Clark, or do we? Let's get some opinions on that. How about Angela? Would you like a Bobby Clark or a Steve Downey on your kids' team?
The hockey would then be like the fight club that we're surrounded with right now. Ah!
I guess I'm going to go against the grain here a little bit. First of all, Downey's hit on McCammon was reprehensible. There's no doubt about it. For 2 reasons. One, he left his feet, and 2, it was predatory by nature. Meaning he hunted him down. What he really should have done was fought Schubert. Schubert's the one who hit him in the boards. He should have just gone up and gone after him. I really don't think Schubert could lick a postage stamp anyway, so why not fight him? But anyways, he chased down McCammon and smoked him, and he got a 20-game suspension. By the way, for any of you who are following along here, it's been erroneously reported for months since that happened, and then subsequently since the Chris Simon suspension, the Simon suspension was the longest in NHL history for non-ice incident. That's incorrect. Billy Kachuk was suspended for life in 1927 for attacking the on-ice officials at the end of the Stanley Cup Finals that year between the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins. I don't know why that's never been reported correctly, but just to clarify that, you heard it here first here at Philthy McNasty, so there you go.
It's probably Bruce Garriock.
Yeah, probably Bruce Garriock, yeah. Another rumor, another order of chicken wings. But the Steve Downey situation is, Steve Downey is a latter-day Dale Hunter to me. Dale Hunter had over 3,000 penalty minutes, and he had over 300 goals. Steve Downey won 2 gold medals for Canada in the World Juniors, and he wasn't selected because he's an enforcer. So the guy's selected because he's a hell of a hockey player. He's almost averaging a point a game already in his brief NHL career. He will be suspended, probably, I'm going to guess right now, between 8 and a dozen times in his NHL career. Brian Marchment was suspended 11 times. Gordie Howe was suspended for attempt to injure. Bobby Orr was suspended. Rocket Richard was suspended. Jean Beliveau led the league in penalty minutes one year. Second, I should say, for a center in 1955. All the greats, it's an inherent risk when you put on the skates and the gloves and you go out there that stuff's going to happen. You know, as you alluded to, and you're very, very correctly so. Downey's case is showing a penchant for being in trouble, but at the same time, if the league just monitors it with duly noted suspensions as these situations arise, he will play in a Stanley Cup final at some point in his career. I would take him on my team any day. Any day I would take him.
There you go.
So, going back to the mentality of the amount of penalties or game suspensions, games lost by one team, do you think that this is a mentality that's brought forth from the organization?
Well, yeah, the Flyers have been that way for 35 years. I mean, as long as Bobby Clarke has some sort of involvement with that organization, they will probably be that way. But Bobby Clarke won the Stanley Cup in 74 and 75, went to the finals in 76 and the finals in 1980 as a player. As a general manager, he went to the finals in 85, 87, 91, and 97. He won 7 division titles, 7 times to the semifinals with 3 different teams, set an expansion record with Florida. You say what you want. The guy's a winner. So, do you want to be a little pussy tree hugger who's afraid because somebody runs around out there and hits somebody and gives them a bobo, or do you want to win the friggin' Stanley Cup? Well, I want to win the Stanley Cup. You want to see the Ottawa Senators win the Stanley Cup? Well, then you better be prepared for violence occasionally on the ice. And since the Ottawa Senators got a whole lot tougher after they got rid of turn the other cheek, Jacques Martin, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I don't think there's any correlation. There's definitely a correlation to that. No coincidence to that. Steve Downey is a valuable hockey player. Bobby Clarke, what he does is he says idiotic things. Yeah. He said that comment about Roger Nielsen, that was idiotic. You know, when him and Paul Henderson got into the pissing match about the Harlemouth slash, that was idiotic. Not so much on Bobby Clarke, but even on Paul's part. But the fact that Downey and what Clarke endorses, they endorse winners. And the Flyers typically are a competitive team. And I, as a hockey fan, don't have a problem with that. You run my goalie, you run my star, I want somebody going out there and kicking some ass. That's exactly what I want to see, is what just happened here. I don't need to see the coach saying, don't do anything, guys, don't do anything. Let's hopefully it will score on the power play. No, that's a sign of a coach that will never even make the playoffs. Lucky if he does and get pounded by anybody he does when he gets there. I want someone that's going to rip off heads, shit down throats, and get it done.
Well, to sum up, I guess he wants UFC on skates. Okay, we're just going to take a bit of a 5-minute break. We'll be right back. Try and get a little more interaction from the crowd. Guys, try and pick up some questions and some opinions on some of the topics coming up. Coming up, we're going to be talking about some of the injuries on the Sens and what we can do about it with some of the free agents that are available, specifically Pasta. Will he be back in the fold? And then let's get into what's on your mind. Back in about 5 minutes.